Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
Welcome into the NFL Opening Line Report, August 22nd. It's Monday. It's week 3 of the NFL preseason. I am Drew Martin, joined by Teddy Covers. The Monday after the WagerTalk meet and greet, that is, in Las Vegas at Westgate. Teddy, how'd you enjoy it, buddy?
It was a great weekend. It was a whole lot of fun I think for everybody. I had a blast. I had a blast meeting people, a whole bunch of viewers of the Opening Line Report. Listen, we appreciate your support. It was fun. You know, it was genuinely fun. I had a good night. Of course, when it comes to Monday morning after the conference weekend, it's easy for me in Vegas, all right? You know, yes, I was out late Thursday. Yes, I was out late Friday. Yes, I was out late Saturday. So it wasn't a normal week according to any stretch of the imagination. But I didn't party my ass off and have to fly home and deal with it. So for everybody who visited town, I'm sure it's rough on Monday. I appreciate you, Drew, for being here today on time and ready to roll with another Opening Line Report, because I know you had yourself a fun weekend too. Unfortunately, my clients didn't have a fun weekend. I stunk all weekend. I couldn't win a coin flip game to save my life, and I had a couple of wrong sides, so it was not a good week from a betting standpoint. The good news is that there's brand new opportunities on the card for the coming week, which we'll talk about today on the Opening Line Report.
Water under the bridge, and we can find more winners than losers. At least get you on the right side of some of these moves. Huge shout out to everybody that made it to the meet and greet. It was a lot of fun, and loved hearing everybody, all their comments about everything they're learning about the show, Teddy. So, hey, we got some questions we'll answer here. But Teddy, we got Monday night here. Of course, August 22nd, Atlanta Falcons, New York Jets. 38 being the total, minus 3.5. We spoke about it briefly last show. Did you want to touch on anything tonight before we get to the actual Opening Line Report for week 3?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like the Jets are going to sit everybody tonight. You know, Robert Saleh's quote from yesterday was, "I'm torn on it. I'm still going. I wake up one day and I'm like, okay, they're going to play. And the next day I wake up and they're not going to play." I think there's tremendous value in this one. I think this one's different because it's Monday Night Football. So he wanted the opportunity for players to play in a heightened environment on Monday Night Football, but he wants to err on the side of caution. Quote, "You never want to make a game bigger than it needs to be." So the money today coming for Atlanta for the Jets, it really looks like it's going to be no Joe Flacco tonight. It looks like it's going to be Mike White, followed by Chris Streveler, which is not necessarily a bet on QB duo, especially with Atlanta showing urgency in trying to win games this August. That being said, you were laying points in the NFL this week. Was not a great week for that. I'm not convinced I want to lay more than a field goal with the Falcons. Clear pass for me tonight.
Let's get after it, Teddy. NFL X Opening Line Report style here. Preseason, the last week of preseason, 8 o'clock Eastern. Thursday night kicks us off for week 3. We're seeing 39.5, -1 in the hook. That's Kansas City Chiefs at home in Arrowhead, hosting the Packers here, Teddy. We are seeing one shop show pick 'em, but pretty much widely available, -1.5. That's Kansas City at home.
Okay, so let me be very clear. In the regular season, the lines are going to come up on Sunday night. We're going to be able to see where the line moves Sunday night. We're going to see where the line moves first thing Monday morning. We're going to have a real good idea of where the money is going to flow on any particular ball game. In the preseason, we don't have that. All right. All of these numbers have been posted within the last hour. The markets haven't done anything yet. It's not a mature market yet. And the money is going to move. The point spreads, the totals are going to move based largely on the information that comes out throughout the course of the week. So I don't know yet who Kansas City is going to play or who Green Bay is going to play. But we're going to talk about the games as best we can with the information we have and see if we can give some leans as to where things might move over over the course of the week. Look, Kansas City has played 2 preseason games, and Patrick Mahomes has played 3 series. And in those 3 series, the Kansas City Chiefs have scored 3 touchdowns. Okay, Andy Reid. I thought our execution was pretty good there in the 24-14 win over Washington. Reid now 4-1 straight up, last 5 in August, 5-0 in first halves over the last 2 years. What we don't know here is what's going to happen with Green Bay. I mean, Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers hasn't seen the field yet. None of their top receivers, Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, Sammy Watkins, hasn't seen the field yet. And it's been, it was Jordan Love all this last week, and a lot of drops, a lot of issues. Matt LaFleur is not going to be perfect. There's going to be some lessons along the way. But, I don't know what Green Bay is going to do in terms of their personnel on the field. It makes a big difference. We're going to see the first stringers, which I'm not convinced we will. If we don't, this line's going to go up.
Teddy simultaneously playing, actually a little bit later, 8:15 Eastern, 5:15 Pacific, San Francisco, the 49ers, the Houston Texans. We're seeing -4 pretty much across the board right now. That's San Francisco as the road favorite. 39 kicked up to 39.5 at some shops as the total. So we get 49ers and Texans going to 8:15 Eastern here, Teddy, Thursday night.
Yeah, for San Fran, it was all Brock Purdy and Nate Sudfeld this last week. They rested 27 players, most of whom are going to be starters and key contributors. It was a no-show game, and they still won 17-7. It was a no-show game for Minnesota as well. Now, in the preseason finale against Houston is when Shanahan said he's going to suit up his starters. So that's why we're seeing San Fran as more than a field goal road favorite. We're going to see a bunch of starters for San Fran. However, the quote I saw yesterday, quote, there's a lot of moving parts on the offensive line. Multiple key players' health are a concern on the offensive line. And if the offensive line isn't healthy, that is likely to affect Shanahan's playing decisions about all the rest of the offensive players. So it is worth noting there for San Fran, even though the plan on Monday is to get the starters out there. If that offensive line is still injury-riddled by Thursday, the plan could change. We saw one coach make a big game plan change that cost me a bet this last weekend in game, and he's done it before, and I can't believe I fell for it again. But nonetheless, for the Texans, look, the offense was awful. The starters against the Rams' second and third stringers was awful. They had 31 net yards with 14 seconds left in the first half, and then Davis Mills promptly chucks the ball downfield and hits 2 big-time plays and scores a touchdown. Now, it is worth noting for Houston, listen to this Lovie Smith quote, talking about game situations, if you want to lay points here or not. Quote, 2 weeks in a row where offensively needed to score and defensively we needed to stop them at the end. I talk a lot about situational football, how we love as many of those opportunities as possible. And, they were playing meaningful football in the fourth quarter in the sense they were trying to win the game. And, of course, Davis Mills keeps talking about how good the Texans are going to be. They're ready to go out and shock the world. And he was asked about it after the game. He's like, I don't need to elaborate on it. I think we know better than anyone else in the building. Our guys have full confidence in what we're capable of, and we're excited to get rolling this season. There are big concerns about Houston's offense right now, no question. Nonetheless, this line has a potential to jump around based on what San Fran is actually going to do instead of what we think they're going to do on a Monday morning.
Thursday night in the bag so far. We got Friday's action, 7:00 Eastern, 109-110, Buffalo at Carolina. Teddy, you had a lot to say last week's show with the Bills, pretty right on. 38 being the total, -5.5. That's the Carolina Panthers as the home favorite, kicking us off Friday night, Teddy.
The Bills were impressive again this last week. Last week their defensive depth impressed me. This week their offense left quite the impression. Over 9 yards per play. The first string offense was in the game they weren't the whole time, but the first stringers and the second stringers combined to score 6 touchdowns. Scored 6 touchdowns in the team's first 6 possessions. Every quarterback had success. For Buffalo, Josh Allen played only the first drive. Case Keenum with a big bounce back game there. So we've seen the Bills' defense look good in one game. We've seen their offense look good in the other. And we don't expect Sean McDermott to play anybody in this game. This is a throwaway game for Buffalo. They've accomplished what they want to accomplish this preseason, and the markets are already telling us that. With Carolina, who lost 20-10 in New England with P.J. Walker and Matt Corral, and then Corral got hurt. He's out long term. Mayfield was announced as a starter today. One would think that it's going to be Mayfield first half, Darnold second half, which is a bet-on combo. Rule told reporters over the weekend that most, if not all, of the starters are going to play in this game. That's why Carolina is the big favorite here. It looks like Buffalo, second and third stringers, Carolina, first stringers. That said, the Bills' second and third stringers have been great this preseason. So I'm not convinced I'm going to be laying 6 with Carolina on Friday night.
Teddy, next game up, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. Seattle at Dallas. We're seeing Seahawks minus 2.5-point road favorites, 40 being the total here in the state of Texas.
Yeah, and again, these are the very first numbers, and from best I can tell, 1 or 2 books open. They took a couple of bets, and everyone else that's posted right now has just copied their numbers. So I'm seeing 2.5 minus 20, 40 on this game. So there is juice on the Seahawks side. Look, there were big issues with Seattle against the Bears last week. The Seahawks' first stringers were badly outplayed by the Bears' second stringers on both sides of the ball. And it wasn't just 1 or 2 series. It was the whole first half. Geno Smith was supposed to solidify and consolidate the job. Instead, Geno Smith and the offense just stunk, start to finish. So we're saying, oh, well, Drew Lock's going to get his chances. Oh, wait, here's the quote from Pete Carroll. And Pete Carroll compliments everybody for everything. Here's what Carroll said about Geno. Well, he did okay. We needed to come through. We needed to help him a little bit. We needed to make the plays around him too. But, I mean, Seattle, 6 full possessions in the first half with Smith under center, 5 punts, 3 3-and-outs, and a missed 47-yard field goal. It was ugly. All right, now, Tyler Lockett was on the field. DK Metcalf was on the field for a little bit. Didn't matter. That offensive line injury in that game. Starting left guard Damian Lewis got hurt. So Smith may have lost the job. The question is, can Drew Lock win it? All right. Drew Lock, in theory, is supposed to win most or all of this game. However, Drew Lock had COVID last week. Some guys get COVID. It's not that big a deal. Some guys get COVID, and it is a big deal. The quote from Drew Lock is he's still feeling, quote, really sick. Pete Carroll's quote. I talked to him, I think it's from yesterday. I talked to him this morning, and it hit him pretty hard. So we don't know if we're going to actually get Drew Lock on the field this week. The Cowboys won 32-18 against the Chargers, all backups. They had 2 special teams touchdowns. It was 29-10 at halftime. They were the most penalized preseason team in week 1. They had another 8 penalties this last week. But it is worth noting for the Cowboys, that run defense in preseason has been real good. Broncos ran the ball 22 times for 29 yards against them. Chargers ran the ball 23 times for 53 yards against them. Greer, Rush, and DiNucci's not necessarily a bet-on QB combo. That trio didn't get to 140 yards in the win. But when you're scoring big play special teams touchdowns, you don't need the QBs to throw the football a whole lot. If Lock plays, I do expect a little bit of money for Seattle.
Next game up, the third of 4 on Friday night, August 26th. We get the LA Chargers at the New Orleans Saints here, Teddy. 36.5 being the total. And we have the Saints -1 or -1 in the hook, home favorites. What are we thinking here in the Big Easy?
I mean, the Chargers don't care about, Staley's made it very clear. He doesn't care about the preseason, doesn't care about winning, doesn't care about playing starters. Last week, it was, Stick and Daniel as the starting QBs. Now, obviously, they had a really bad special teams performance in that ballgame that is worth standing out, where they give up 2 return touchdowns. I'm talking about Staley not caring. This is a quote that concerns me when it comes to maybe Staley does care a little bit more this week. Quote, it was a really poor first half for us, about as poorly as you could play. And that really put us behind overall. I didn't like the way that first half felt or looked. It was in all 3 phases. When you have 2 turnovers and give up 2 special teams touchdowns, that's the way the score is going to look. So there's a chance the Chargers may take this first half a little bit more seriously than basically any preseason game they've had under Staley. I'm not convinced of that, but there is that chance. The Saints lost to Green Bay 20-10. It was all Ian Book in that ballgame. Ian Book was not good. Jameis Winston back in camp, back on the field on Sunday after a 12-day absence. If Winston and Dalton play for the Saints, this number is likely to go up. This total is likely to go up. We don't know yet if either or both or neither are going to play on Friday night.
Last of four here Friday night, Teddy. New England at Las Vegas, 37 being the total in Allegiant Stadium. We're seeing Raiders -1, Pick'em -1.5 right now in early trading for the final on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots' first string offense hasn't worked. Okay. Didn't work in camp, hasn't worked in games. Every Pats fan you talk to, every Pats message board you look at, there's a lot of concern right now. And Mac Jones had a couple of 3-and-outs. He did have one touchdown drive, but that only came when the Panthers' backups came on the field in a 20-10 Patriots victory. Matt Patricia was the play caller again this week, unlike last week where he shared duties with Joe Judge. Mac Jones quote about the play calling. He says, calls Patricia one of the most brilliant people he's been around on a football field. Quote, he's really starting to get a feel for it. He's very easy to talk to on the sideline. He's a very easy, laid-back type of coach. But he demands a lot, and I respect that about him. Hopefully we can grow for a long time. New England's offense, very much a work in progress right now. So is the Raiders' offense, all right? They beat Miami 15-13, I should say. No Carr in that ballgame with Stidham, Garbers, and Mullins for the contest. But they gave up 4 sacks against Miami. There were projected starters in the offensive line that were taken out of the game and then put back in. They've given up 13 sacks in 3 preseason games. So this is a team with all of this star power. Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller and Josh Jacobs and Carr at quarterback. And the offensive line is a real question mark. Here's another concerning quote for the Raiders if you want to lay with them this week. Quote, Josh McDaniels. We've got a lot of guys who are nicked up, bumps and bruises. That's this time of year. It's preseason. No, it's not this time of year. Every team's dealing with it. We're not unique. I would not be surprised at all if the Raiders, again, do very little in terms of starters this week. If that's the case, we may see some New England money. There's potentially more urgency for the Patriots right now than there is for the Raiders when it comes to the preseason finale.
Teddy, we got Saturday, August 27th card here. We're starting off with one afternoon kick, 3 o'clock Eastern, 12 noon Pacific, Jacksonville and Atlanta. Of course, the Falcons playing tonight, Monday night. I'm not seeing a line out. Do you want to hit this one?
Yeah, just real quick, I'll talk about the Jags. There's nothing up yet. We don't know what Atlanta's playing rotation is going to be or any of that. The Jags lost 16-15 to Pittsburgh on a missed game-winning field goal. The offense moved the ball up and down the field with the first stringers. They were in Pittsburgh territory on every possession, and with Trevor Lawrence throwing 21 passes, they finished with 2 field goals. 6 points to show for it. 5 and 9 on third downs. They just couldn't execute when it came down. Now, Doug Peterson actually sent his defensive starters back on the field to open the second half and forced a 3-and-out there after giving up a touchdown before halftime. But the Peterson showed a little bit more urgency for this one than he has in previous games, and the Jags still couldn't execute offensively and found a way to lose it. Frustratingly, I had Jacksonville. Jacksonville was coming to play and Pittsburgh wasn't, and the Jags still lost. So the box score was in their favor. The final score was not.
Good start here to the Saturday card as we got the LA Rams, Cincinnati Bengals up next. Bengals -2 in the hook at home. Teddy, we're seeing 37.5 as the opening total. We're now seeing a prominent offshore showing 38 as the total. So getting a tick up here, Rams, Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, the Rams lost 24-20 to the Texans. That was my bad beat of the week, and I had the under. It was 6-0 with 14 seconds left before halftime, and Houston was 3rd and 10 from their own 35. And, of course, the 14 seconds was enough. The incomplete pass was reversed on replay. There was an unnecessary roughness penalty. Then the long TD pass with 1 second on the clock. 7-6 at the half. And then you had a fumble return touchdown and then back-to-back late TDs in the fourth quarter. And the under ended up being no good in a game that was a dead nuts under for most of the game. Sean McVay is now 6 years in L.A., and he's still not playing any starters. All right. It's all John Wolford and Bryce Perkins. Between them, they got sacked 6 times. The offensive line got blown up, and the game still went over the total. Wolford talking about getting sacked 5 times. It's part of the game. Those guys are battling up front. The Texans have got their ones in. The offensive line doing the best they can. We knew that going in. I think we did a good job, all things considered. When it comes to the Cincy, they lost to the Giants 25-22 with, again, not playing a whole lot of starters. And the Giants move the ball up and down the field. And Zach Taylor, these games are so critical. The way we practice is so segmented for those guys to go out and play The length of time is invaluable. We hope they're learning for it. Bengals are 0-2 in the preseason. All young guys, all resting starters so far. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of that this week. That's been Taylor's MO. And yet they still managed to cover against the Giants, who were trying and playing starters. And Giants won, but didn't cover the numbers. Cincy able to hang around and do enough offensively to stay in the ballgame. But it's certainly not a team that cares about week 3 of the preseason. I don't think the Rams care either. More likely than not, I expect we'll see some under money in this one.
Teddy, speaking of a team that's won in the preseason, we get the Baltimore Ravens hosting the Washington. I'm going to continue calling them the football team until somebody corrects me. 39.5 being the total. And speaking of the Baltimore Ravens, -6 now as the home favorite.
So I'll start with the Commanders. You can call them the Washington football team. I have it listed over here as Commanders. But are they the most anonymous team in the NFL right now? It's usually the Jags or the Panthers. Or, I've been downgrading Washington by the week. All right. And I know they lost to Kansas City. They can't compete with Kansas City, but it was a mismatch on the field. They can't get off the field on third down. There's all kinds of questions about Washington defensively. When the starting defense allows 5 conversions on 5 third down tries, 1 week after letting Carolina do almost the same thing. And remember, last year, this was the 31st ranked third down defense. It has not been fixed. It was Wentz, Heineke, and Howell. Wentz. I thought it was okay. I definitely left some plays out there. Definitely wish we could have sustained some drives a little bit more, especially those third downs. There's a couple I wish I could have had back. I've been hearing Wentz say the same quote for the last 5 years since his rookie season. In Philly, they went 0 for 3 on third down with Wentz in the game and punted 3 times. Ron Rivera, quote, Carson got the ball to the 40 a couple times. We didn't get points out of it. We made a negative play. We had 3rd and 5 and 3rd and 10 and then take a sack. We can't do that to ourselves. I'm not seeing anything satisfied or happy in Washington. That's not a good football team. They're not happy with each other. I think there may be issues there. I don't know that I want them in the preseason against Baltimore, who all they do. Look, Hundley and Brown, everyone's tweeting yesterday, Hundley's an NFL starting quarterback. He's not. But, and between Hundley and Brown, they had 3 interceptions. Sorry, they had 3 touchdowns and no interceptions in that ballgame, and pretty much controlled the flow. And Hundley, in a situation where he could run out of bounds, instead he's taking on 2 defenders and powering for the first down. And that quote after the game, talking about that particular play where the coach wants you to run out of bounds, and Hundley's like, no, I'm not doing that. Quote, it means a lot to us just to show that every time you step on the field with the Ravens, you got to be ready to play. We're ready to play. We're trying to win every time we touch the field. The 22-game winning streak, I stepped in front of it once. I ain't stepping in front of it again. All the public books will take Baltimore money. You can count on it. If you like the Ravens at -6 and you're betting at any recreational book, play it now.
From the Ravens to the Dolphins hosting the Eagles here, Teddy. It's 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, -2.5. That is the Dolphins at home. 38 the total here in Miami Gardens.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of joint practice dealios this week. This is one of them. So we'll see how the practices goes when it comes to if the coaches are happy with the practices. A lot of times they sit guys. We saw Philly beat the Browns 21-20. Gardner Minshew solidifying his hold in the backup job. 2 nice long touchdown drives. Philly's defensive starters were resting, and the second team defense wasn't good. They got gashed. They allowed points on each of Cleveland's first 4 possessions. It was a concern. It may well be a concern here. I don't know how much Minshew we're going to see. I don't know who they're going to play this week. For the Dolphins, people like that combo of Tua and Bridgewater behind them. And, of course, Thompson came in and threw for 129 yards and a touchdown. Only had 1 complete, even though they lost to the Raiders. They didn't put the biscuit in the basket. They moved the football, but weren't able to run. They haven't run the football well at all. And that may be something that they're working on this week against Philadelphia, because Philadelphia, certainly a very stout starting defensive line. It's the one I really, again, we're talking about Saturday's games now. I have no feel for which coach wants to do what in this one yet. There's a lot of games we're talking about. This is one right now that, in my opinion, is absolute nothing. I don't know. In terms of, I don't know the urgency. I haven't sensed urgency. I just don't have a feel for this game. We're going to look at coaches' quotes throughout the weeks and player quotes throughout the weeks and see if we can find something.
With 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific kicks. This is the next one up. Chicago Bears at the Cleveland Browns. You were just talking about the Browns offense, Teddy. Now they're -4, as high as -5-point home favorites hosting the Bears. 38 being the total here, Teddy.
Look, the Bears had about as positive a preseason performance as they're going to have. They beat the Seahawks 27-11. 28 guys sat, just about every starter and on both sides of the ball. And the backups outplayed the Seattle starters on both sides of the ball. They led 24-0 before garbage time. They did get a cheap touchdown on a muff punt before halftime, but both sides of the ball, the Bears were the better team, backups versus starters. Fields looked fine. Simeon and Peterman, again, two veterans at the backup QB positions. The offensive line is still a mess. Fields was under pressure a lot in his limited time on the field. There are concerns for Chicago. It's an ongoing concern for Chicago, especially when we talk about what Cleveland wants to do. They run the football. Josh Dobbs looked real good. Josh Rosen didn't. Poor Josh Rosen. The guy never really got a chance anywhere, and when he has, it just hasn't gone well for him. They put Rosen in to try to win the game, and he ended up missing. Just incomplete pressure. Receivers weren't open. No idea who the Browns are going to go into the Brissett versus Watson versus neither of the two. And of course, Dobbs, who looked great. We don't know if he's going to get another opportunity here this week either. So a lot of questions here. And then if Chicago plays anything like they did last week, we're already seeing a little bit of Bears money. Those backups were better on Chicago than expected.
Next game up, still 7 o'clock Eastern, Arizona at Tennessee, 38 being the total here, Teddy. -3 flat pretty much across the board. That's the Titans at home in Nashville as the favorite.
Yeah, Arizona lost 24-17 to Baltimore yesterday. It was all McSorley and Guarantano. Wasn't a particularly good performance. McSorley had a couple of picks. Guarantano was sacked a bunch of times. Here's Kingsbury after the game going. I thought it was a little up and down talking about McSorley. I thought he was trying too hard. Of course, he played for the Ravens. I thought he was trying a little too hard against his old team, but he's scrappy. He continues to make plays. I thought we moved the ball well at times. Not a performance that he was particularly happy about, but he's not a quarterback that cares, not a coach who cares a whole lot about winning. In August, Arizona is not a team I necessarily want my money on. Same story with the Titans, though. They won 13-3 the Bucs, and they didn't care. Though Malik Willis, again, holding the ball a little bit long. His quote, I was a little more comfortable, but it's not about, but it's more about making it a point to stay in the pocket when I can and not just get out because I'm athletic. I'm a little bit disappointed myself for tonight. I think I got a little bit too much. It's a growing process. It's my second preseason game. I'm not going to be too hard on myself in that regard. Second straight start for Willis. Woodside's no good. That's the third stringer. And I don't know that we're going to see Tannehill. So it's not like there's likely to be a bevy of money coming in on the Titans right here. These are two teams that this feels like very much a throwaway game for. But we'll see. If we see a quote during the week that tells us something different, the markets will move based on that information.
Today, I have a feeling this next one might get interesting. Tampa Bay Bucks, Indianapolis Colts. Colts -5.5-point home favorites, 7:30 Eastern here. 39 or 38.5 being the total. Bucks and Colts up next, Teddy.
So the Bucks lost to the Titans 13-3 this weekend. Kyle Trask, 11 of 24 for 105 yards, sacked 4 times. Lane Gabbert, 3 of 5, 13 yards. The passing game did very, very little. And Brady's back. Supposed to be back in camp this week. I don't know that he's going to play. I wouldn't expect him to play, and this is why. All right. Tampa scored a field goal in that game, and they weren't playing against opposing starters at all. All right. This is now an offensive line that we officially have to be concerned about, especially with a 45-year-old quarterback. All right. Yeah. Pro Bowl guard, Ollie Marpet, didn't retire right at the season. He retired late in the spring. Pro Bowl center, Ryan Jensen, significant injury early in camp. He's going to miss all the season. They just lost Aaron Stinney for battling for the starting left guard spot. He got carted off the field. I think he's out long term. The rookie, Luke Godeke, gave up 2 holding calls and surrendered a sack. And then the Pro Bowl right tackle, Tristan Wirfs, has an oblique injury already. So with that offensive line, Brady doesn't go out there. Period. Todd Bowles. Nobody played efficient on offense. We only had 3 points, so you can't just put it on the quarterback. There's a lot of factors involved in that. This is not a team with August urgency. This is a team with get health urgency. This is a team that has to fix their OL problems. So I don't know necessarily that we're going to see a whole lot from Tampa this week, much like last week, which is probably the only reason that Indy's favored here. The Colts lost to the Lions on a 2-point conversion. They sat all their starters after some intense practices. Nick Foles and Ellinger were real good in that ball game, but again, I'm not anticipating a ton from Indy. I mean, Indy, the Colts are 3-0 in NFL preseason this year. They went last year. They're 0-2 so far this year. And Ellinger's been the quarterback of the preseason so far, 4 touchdowns in 2 preseason games. I'm not convinced we see quite as much of them this week, which, boy, I don't know what to do with this one. Under may come into play before all said and done.
Sure, as high as 39 out there, guys, 38.5 at other shops. We got last game here on the card Saturday, August 27th, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. Minnesota at Denver. Teddy, we're seeing Broncos minus 2.5, a mile high, 38.5 or 39 being the total here. The nightcap Saturday night, Teddy.
Yeah, it's the Mond and Mannion show for the Vikings here in the preseason so far. They said 27 players this past weekend, and it showed. Kevin O'Connell's talked about that with the joint practices. He's not all that worried about getting guys on the field. O'Connell quotes, we would have loved to come out of tonight feeling like, shoot, they both moved the team, talking about Mond and Mannion. They both moved the team and scored a lot of points, and we got a heck of a hard discussion and conversation ahead as a staff and in the organization. Although we didn't do that, I still think there's some real teachable moments. The markets are higher on Minnesota than I am right now. They really are. I don't like that team's depth at all. They lost a rookie quarterback, Andrew Booth, to injury. That's a concern. And this, Mannion's not an NFL quarterback, and neither is Mond. And if those two are in play, it does not necessarily bode well for their chances. The Broncos, however, as favorites in this ballgame, I don't know if I'm buying that. They allowed more than 200 rushing yards last week. They got out physicaled. Nathaniel Hackett, the new head coach, says he doesn't like the preseason. The Broncos backups who've been playing have been pushed around. The cornerbacks, the backups have been pushed around. Anyhow, you're giving up 6 touchdowns in the first 6 drives against first stringers, second stringers, etc. That is an issue. And the quotes from Hackett after the game weren't, I'm angry, I'm concerned. The quotes from Hackett after the game were, yeah, whatever. I'm not laying with Denver. I'm not probably taking with Minnesota either. That's a pass game.
Love the coach's quotes, Teddy. That's Saturday night in the book. We got Sunday, August 28th. Just 2 games left here, guys, for the final preseason week here, with the 2 games on the closing Sunday. Teddy, first up here, 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, battle for New York. New York Giants, New York Jets. We only got one lined game right now, Teddy, on Sunday, and this is the one that isn't lined. Of course, the Jets playing tonight. Did you want to hit on this one?
Oh, just real quick. I mean, we don't know anything about who the Jets are going to play or start or anything, but you can anticipate. You can't anticipate. If Flacco plays tonight, I don't expect him to play next week, and vice versa. Obviously, we're not going to see Zach Wilson behind center for the Jets in another preseason game this year. Giants won last night 25-22. They outgained the Bengals by 150 yards. They were more than a yard per play better, but they turned the ball over. They gave up a big play on special teams. You can't cover his chalk that way. Daniel Jones was good, real good yesterday. 14-16, 116 yards and a pick, although the pick hit the rookie tight end in the hands, and the rookie tight end couldn't catch it. We have joint practice with the Jets this week. I would not be surprised. Giants first stringers have gotten action each of the last 2 weeks. I wouldn't be shocked if they sit after the joint practices here. So if the Jets get bombed tonight and the Giants are going to sit everybody next week, might be worth looking when the numbers come up tomorrow, potentially towards the Jet side. But that's, again, a theory, not anything that's a, yes, definitely do this. It's if Jets might be worth a look.
Sure, if it plays out that way. Last game here on the card, Teddy, 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific kick. Detroit at Pittsburgh, 38.5, as high as 39.5 being the total, -3. That's the Steelers at home.
So Mike Tomlin told me he was going to play Kenny Pickett for the whole game or most of the game, and then he ended up playing Mason Rudolph in the second half against Jacksonville for the whole second half of that ball game. And his quote, of course, I thought he looked like the varsity guy in the JV game, and I told him that. Yeah, sure. It's the second time in recent years I've been burned by a Tomlin quote that he's like, "Oh, I changed my mind." And then of course they beat the Jags 16-15. Jacksonville had a last-second field goal that came to the wide right or whatever it was. Frustrating loss there. Frustrating weekend as a whole. I'd rather not speak that much of it. Nonetheless, I don't know if we're going to see Trubisky or Pickett or what. The offensive line really struggled for the Steelers. And that's, is going to be a concern. And that is certainly affecting Trubisky's numbers. And Pickett on the field earlier this week. There's talk that Pickett might be the week 1 starter right now. Well, the more you play, the more comfortable you get. That's just how it goes. The more reps I get, the better I feel in the system. Whatever number they have me as, I don't care. I'm going to go out there and play every single time as hard as I can. So there's some positives in Pittsburgh right now. For the Lions, again, they played without any offensive starters. And they won their first preseason game since 2018 by a single point. Thanks to a missed point conversion. Good work in the trenches for the Lions. 174 yards rushing, allowed only 30. Even the defense delivered. Dan Campbell. When you earn a win, it feels good. And I thought when we needed to play, we really complemented each other. I thought we got better today. This was a good week for us. Where we've been and where we're coming from, winning has to be part of our DNA. We're moving in the right direction. That's the first quote I've seen from Campbell saying, we want to win in August. They're dogs in this one against the Steelers, but the Steelers QB combo as good as you'll find when you get Mason Rudolph playing the entire second half against third and fourth string.
Teddy covers, bringing the heat in the NFL opening line report, NFL X style, the last one of the season here, guys, before we kick off the regular season. Huge shout out to the chat box, Have Cash in the house, Neil Williams, Paul Blakeney coming to us from the other side of the pond in Essex, England. Welcome in, Paul. Mike Campbell in the house as well. Thanks, Brent. Smoky Stream Bets. Everybody, welcome in. Please smash that like button if you're liking the content. Benny, Slow Jams as well. Teddy, we got some questions here. I'll just fire away a couple from last show in the reply section. So, guys, if you're watching on replay, feel free to drop a reply below. Any questions, what you're looking to bet, all is welcome. If you're watching the show, where you're watching it from, and in the live chat box as well. Fred Johnson asking, hey, Drew, ask Teddy a question for me next week report. How does he feel about 10-point teasers, -110, minimum and maximum is 3 teams and ties lose? Teddy, different types of teasers. How are you feeling about teasers is all on last week's show, guys. If you didn't watch it, go check it out on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Good conversation there about teasers in the NFL, Teddy, and because it's an efficient marketplace and possibly because NFL preseason, with the lower totals, makes for a smarter bet. What are your thoughts here on NFL teasers overall, particularly the 3-team teasers?
So a 3-team 10-point teaser, I'm not looking for scores. When I'm playing NFL teasers, I tend exclusively to play 2-team 6-point teasers where I'm capturing the key numbers I'm looking for. Okay. That's me. That said, there are guys out there, guys I respect, who do play the 10-point teaser. My biggest issue with the 10-point teaser is in terms of key numbers to cross, it gets a lot more confusing as to what you're looking for and what you're trying to get. Also with a 10-point teaser, you're talking about, again, 3-teamers versus 2-teamers. Anytime you're adding one more leg to the equation, that's one more sweat and one more chance to lose. So I know a lot of guys that bet them. I certainly wouldn't talk you out of it. I found success using other types of teasers that have worked for me. I wouldn't talk you out of using what works for you, but mathematically, I found the 10-pointers. I know the sharp guys do it. The sharp guys use them as part of their betting equation as well. This is not something I do a whole lot.
Like it, Teddy. Good stuff. We got a bunch more people commenting here. Ayo in the house, Carenzo as well, Raven, Ron. A question from Slow Jams. Did y'all talk about the Atlanta Falcons? Did Desmond Ridder out? Cincinnati looked real good. Yeah, we talked about all the games coming up on week 3. So check it out. Feel free to replay it as well. Teddy, feel free to talk about Atlanta. Also, I have a question I wanted to add on. Sitting in the Westgate, yesterday in Las Vegas, you could watch the planes fly in to the airport And sure enough, Teddy, I could be wrong, but I'm 95% sure I saw the Patriots plane flying in yesterday to McCarran Airport. Was I seeing things, or are they really flying in that early for a Saturday game here in NFLX?
There's joint practices this week, and it could easily be equipment and staffers and whatever else.
Right.
I don't know. In terms of that type of travel possibility, I really don't. In terms of Atlanta for tonight, we talked about it at the top of the show. We've seen Arthur Smith show interest in winning preseason games, much like Dan Campbell. When you talk about a losing team, and now there's talking about changing the culture, and we want to get W's under our belts. And for the Jets, there's not a whole lot of again, once Zach Wilson got hurt, it changed their entire preseason. Really did. And I don't think we're not going to see Flacco tonight. So the markets are responding to that. You can see the full analysis at the top of the show if you watch it on replay. And of course, you talked about being on YouTube. Of course, on YouTube, if you download the WagerTalk TV app, the free WagerTalk TV app, the brand new kick-ass free WagerTalk TV app, it's kind of cool. But you can get all the programming, and you can just consume at your convenience.
Teddy, last question here. Slow Jams commenting, Jets QB depth chart has a QB that won the Grey Cup and CFL, huge advantage. And just kind of to tail off of what he's talking about, do you use that in your handicapping here for preseason, early NFL, like a quarterback that got on a hot streak in another league coming into the NFL? Could that be an advantage for you?
If a QB can play, he can play. If he can, he can't. I'd rather have a QB that won a Grey Cup than an undrafted rookie free agent, for sure. But it's not just the quarterback. It's the quarterback. Is he protected? Is the offensive line down to the fifth stringers and the guys that are going to get cut tomorrow? Are the receivers capable of running route? Josh Rosen's in the game, and Josh Rosen has some skill, but literally every play in front of him, the offensive line breaks down, and the receivers, he's playing with eighth-string receivers that aren't getting open, and Josh Rosen's stats look terrible and doesn't make a team because of it. So, we point the finger at the quarterback, but it's the offense as a whole. And even with a QB that's won a Grey Cup, which is a positive thing, that's not necessarily bet on in the second half of the game.
Teddy covers number one at WagerTalk. Net units of profit won since February 1st, 2022. So getting several months there. He's number one at WagerTalk. His 5% big ticket plays, 17-3, 85% the last 20. NFL season wins here, Teddy, 94-44, 68% the last 20 years, 15-3 in those 5% big tickets. Of course, that's up and available, wagertalk.com. Teddy covers, knows the NFL. Obviously, guys, if you're watching the show, check his packages out. It's $9 Monday. Teddy, like always, throw it over to you, man. Had a great time talking with you this weekend. Great time talking to everybody that watches the show, commenting. We do appreciate it, and appreciate everybody just kind of chiming in, saying that they do watch the show in person. That was really cool, Teddy. But I'll throw it over to you for any final thoughts before we shut this down.
Yeah, the guys at the meet and greet were awesome. I want to thank Irish John and his wife Mary, Mr. Lucky. But yeah, there's too many to name. So many guys came up and said they were coming up and going to you. They're welcome in. They're to the opening. It was awesome. It was really a lot of fun. And I encourage you, that's a bucket lister. All right. The WagerTalk meet and greet was a lot of fun this week, and I expect we'll do it again next year. Put it on, think about it. We'll let you know as soon as the dates are announced. But everybody was, in terms of the WagerTalk guys, like everybody was there. It was a lot of fun, and it was. I encourage you, and the swag was out too. We gave out the swag bags. Look at this kick-ass. I want to thank Missy for putting this all together. Unbelievable, the cool new WagerTalk stuff that I like, and this kept my drink warm the entire show. So, thanks for watching, guys. Again, we'll do it again next. So we're on every Monday now, even though there are no games next week. Drew and I are going to do an opening line report on Monday morning. We'll talk about the openers for the regular season. We'll talk about where we think those numbers are going to move, because there'll probably be more movement on those games between then and Labor Day than between Labor Day and kickoff. So we'll talk about it next Monday. Come on back and join us right here on the opening line.
I second all that. Well said, Teddy. Missy, M2 behind the scenes, Chris Allen, Dan Alexander, the producer for the show. Really cool to see everybody in the back office there. But for Teddy Covers, I'm Drew Martin. Please smash that like button. Feel free to comment below. Best of luck with your bets. We'll be back next Monday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Come back and join us, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.